News Bulletin, I'm Zandile Mpapane, recapping stories making headlines. His Majesty King Yemaswati III today received the Embraer ERJ-145 aircraft at the Sekhukhune International Airport. The Mbabane and the Manzini Municipal Council today signed a memorandum of understanding where they pledged to help Eswatini fight the spread of HIV. Business was disturbed today in Mbabane City as public transport operators held a strike. Before we get to our news bulletin, that message was from Water Aid ESWATINI, and it is all about encouraging Yemaswati to adhere to COVID-19 regulations. We shall get back to our news bulletin. His Majesty King Yemaswati III today at the Sekhukhune International Airport received the Embraer ERJ-145 aircraft. We have a report.
His Majesty King Yemaswati III today, as represented by His Royal Highness Prince Langabeza, received the first of two aircraft called the Embraer ERJ-145 that has arrived through the Eswatini Air. This aircraft belongs to the airline that is going to be run by the Kingdom of Eswatini under the Royal Eswatini National Airways Corporation. The aircraft landed at around 10 in the morning at the King Yemaswati III's International Airport, where the Prince and the delegation from His Majesty's government and other relevant stakeholders took turns in actually inspecting the plane and making sure that it is in good shape. The King urged all Yemaswati who are going to be using this aircraft to do their best in maintaining it and ensuring that it is going to stay in good shape, so to promote businesses and traveling in the Kingdom of Eswatini and other countries.
Kambele bukile ngoba njengoba nikhumbula ukuthi kwase kwaba khona lokwabakhona kwase kasheleleka kumbe mhlawumbe lokwashelela laba bekhaya kumbe mhlawumbe babukele inkampani keke vele babikile kuhulumende ukuthi oh kambe kuloko bakade somani bahle bakunqanqanqa bakubeka eqathini kambe kugcine kufikile lapho ukuthi oh live lingabuye lisimame litibone ukuthi lingasima kambe lento njani njengoba nihlangene kambe nani namhla senibofakazi lokufakazi ke phela nibe kunene ke nana nindawo buyela emakhaya niyobika ukuthi lo bekaza athunywe ingwenyama ahlangene nani.
The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Nhlanhla Zandwandwe, vowed to the King that they are going to ensure that this aircraft is taken care of well and good at all times.
Buhle balobu wena bekunene bunenge kakhulu cishe sibantu siyathi ukuthi kubhekwephi siyathi ukuthi sifisani umuntu angakubala nje ufika engqondweni kulo msebenzi lo lesiqalako namhla sikhuluma ngekucasheka kwamaswati uyavuleka umsebenzi yamaswati aqasheke ataqashwa ngiyo lenkampani aphinze aqashwe nangiletinye tinkampani.
The Chief Executive Officer of RENAC Eswatini also vowed that together with the staff and the working personnel, they're going to ensure that all the aircrafts that are going to come to the King Yemaswati III's International Airport are going to be taken care of very well. These two aircrafts are going to open the airline flying to Durban straight from the Kingdom of Eswatini, as well as Zimbabwe and other countries in the African region. I am Kanyisile Mabuza for Channel Yemaswati News with Gary Carlos, King Yemaswati III's International Airport, Sekhukhune.
The Deputy Prime Minister today at his offices in Mbabane officially launched the International Women's Day, whereby the Deputy Prime Minister condemned the acts of rising cases of gender-based violence in the kingdom. We have a report.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Thembani Masuku, today officially launched the Women's Day, which was launched at the Deputy Prime Minister's office. The Deputy Prime Minister stated that women are very important in the society as they can play a major role in the fight against climate change.
Global and national disasters or global and national studies show that women, girls experience the greatest impact of climate crisis as it intensifies existing gender inequalities such as increased gender-based violence, access to girls' education, access to health, and puts women and girls' lives and livelihoods at risk. Whereas women highly depend on rural or natural resources, yet have less access to them, while bearing the responsibility for securing food, water, and fuel.
The ambassador for United Nations stated that it is a high concern for them as United Nations that there is thousands of women who are being attacked by Russia at Ukraine and they are forced to leave their country.
So women in Eswatini need to be further...
Kwaka University Director stated that women can play a major role in the fight against climate change as no one needs to be left behind.
What's more, when women work and earn a decent salary for decent work at the same rate as men, everyone benefits. And yet despite this, the World Economic Forum...
I'm Kimberly Mavuso for Yemaswati News in Mbabane.
When commemorating the International Women's Day at Sibane Hotel in ESWATINI, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, in collaboration with China, Taiwan, encouraged Yemaswati to do more farming so that imports can be reduced in the kingdom. We have a report.
The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Bangoba Kumalo, stated that women can play a major role in the economy of the country. The minister was speaking today in the celebration of the Women's Day that was hosted by the Ambassador of China on Taiwan at Sibane Hotel.
It was really moving, Jennifer, when you personalized your delivery this morning and shared your very unpleasant experience, and we just want to applaud you for speaking out, because this is half the problem. We mostly prefer to not speak up and speak out against some of these atrocities that we have learned to accept as normal in our society.
Deliver as good as the man. This is where you need, as a woman, that inner strength, and I don't know how you deal with this, but you need self-confidence.
Excellency Jeremy Liang, who is the Taiwan ambassador, stated that as China and Taiwan, they will continue supporting women in the country, more especially in the farming sector.
March the 8th, International Women's Day, is a global event celebrating the social, economic, cultural.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Cooperative, Minister Tulidlala, was also part of the occasion, where she was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry. I'm Kimberly Mavuso for Yemaswati News at Sibane.
When commemorating the International Women's Day at Sibane Hotel in ESWATINI, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, in collaboration with China, Taiwan, encouraged Yemaswati to do more farming so that imports can be reduced in the kingdom. We have a report.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, UNAIDS and Nurture, and various other stakeholders convened for the signing of the Paris Declaration by the cities of Mbabane and Mazini as a part of their commitment to help eradicate HIV by 2030. The declaration is an initiative by the City of Paris to partner with cities across the globe in order to fast-track the eradication of the HIV pandemic by the year 2030. Speaking on behalf of the minister was Undersecretary at the Ministry of Housing, Martin Dlamini, who expressed the ministry's hope for the initiative to be adopted by all municipalities in the country.
As Majesty's government, we do recognize that cities have become centers of demographic growth, as a result of rural and urban migration. As a result, given the powers vested in them, municipalities have an important role to play in response to the many challenges posed by the HIV and AIDS epidemic. Municipalities cannot afford to take a back seat in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Reasons being that HIV prevalence and incidence reports show that the urban space is worse off than its rural space.
Nurture's Kanya Maruza attributed the rise in HIV infections to the upsurge of transactional relationships between men and young girls.
So it's very important that we really focus and scale up our activities when it comes to HIV. Hence, we are talking about some of a catalytic approach to HIV and AIDS. It's even very strong when it comes to prevention.
UNAIDS country director discussed topics that contribute to HIV's prevalence in the country. Craig highlighted gender-based violence as one of the foremost drivers of rises. Both of the city's mayors went on to pledge their commitment to the declaration before a signing ceremony ensued, officiating ESWATINI's participation in the project.
Commit to provide sustained access to the quality of HIV testing.
We will focus our efforts on all people who are vulnerable to HIV. We will focus our efforts on all people who are vulnerable to HIV.
Reporting for Channel Yemaswati News, Abelina Mabuza, Zandile Mpapane, Mbaban.
of the Ministry's 2021-2022 Annual Performance Report and the budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023, report tabled by the Honorable Position Numar. The Honorable Position Numar. Siyabonga Speaker. The scholar table report Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Committee debate on the Ministry's annual performance report for financial year 2021-22 and the budget estimates for financial year 2022-23.
Today in the House of Assembly during the joint sitting, chairpersons of the different portfolio committees of the ministries were delivering their report on the operations of the ministries. During the delivering of the report, the Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlalihlaza Ndlwandwe, tabled regulations on the amendment of public transport fees. The Speaker of the House, Petros Mavimbela, stated that the regulations should go back to the portfolio committee of the ministry so that it will look upon it before it comes back to the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. With the leave of the House, may I table the maximum bus and taxi fares amendment regulations 2022.
Proceed, Honorable Minister. Mtanisha, Sevalsen.
Mtanjiswa Tingulumo, the senior Kuluma Kulama regulation.
Honorable Minister of Public Works. Mtanisha Sevalsen uphethe ukuthi kunekhuluma kulama regulations. So in as much as Mtanisha uvetile ukuthi kunekhuluma kuyaphuthuma lokho akungahambi waya so ngicela vele bathonisha ukuthi njengoba nithi niyakhuluma zamani ukuthi nikhulume masinyane bathonisha asibe nendlini lokuthi angisho bathonisha lo ukuthi kuzeke ukuthi singabe sibheka le bathonisha angivele nje ngwareferishe ecommittee ukuthi chairperson waka public works Semotshane angathi umbuka ngokungamele after umsebenzi umbukelani ngoba ngithatha lo msebenzi lo usebenze ngeta nje malanga lasihlanu bese ubuyisile mntwana siyabonga.
The Speaker encouraged the Portfolio Committee to work on the report as soon as possible. I'm Kimal Mavuso for Yemaswati News in the House of Parliament.
The operations in Mbabane City today was disturbed as public transporters downed their tools, where they demanded that they want salary increment and other issues that are affecting their businesses to be addressed. We have a report.
Public transport workers in Manzini today parked their vehicles at the Manzini bus rank over fuel price hike and failure by the government to address their 2021 grievances, which include a demand of 4,000 emalangeni as a monthly salary, among others. According to Nyuzi Makobela, he stated that they have tried to voice out their grievances before.
Sathuma thina malunga ethu abang6 sathi sicela usikhulumeka nabona bophathi bedemaho 4,000 sicela 4,000 lokhu nyasikwane maphesenti bobani asifunda sonke la namnje ngifundza ngiyongafunda but ningathi we 4,000 Simile vele sinakuthi kahle sinawe babuye bonke labantu sibe la sikhulumisa lenzaba ukuthi senza kanjani inyalo ngoba nyalo tinje sibonisana nisonke where they say political activities. As in political activities, I'm noticing for a joke. So I want to Yemaswati in Milegaso that the suits are going away. With Yemaswati and his car.
Some of the public transport workers that were seen to be continuing with their daily routine, they were interrupted and forced to stop working today. I am Nunhla Twala, reporting for Yemaswati channel in Manzini.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office, while delivering a report as to how ESWATINI is handling the issue of disabled people in the kingdom, stated that they would like other organizations that are all about the well-being of Yemaswati to write a report in detail and explain how ESWATINI is helping people living with disabilities. This happened at Sibane Hotel in Ezulwini. We have a report. The Deputy Prime Minister's office continues to deliver a report to explain in detail as to how ESWATINI is taking care of the well-being of disabled people, a report that will further be submitted at the Prime Minister's offices, where Cabinet Ministers will look into it. Today, the representative of the Deputy Prime Minister's office stated that it will be wise to let other organizations that are all about the well-being of people in ESWATINI to write a report also and explain how ESWATINI is taking care of disabled people.
Solo sithola le report le bonakala ukuthi vele seyizithile seyilungile ukuthi uhulumende utasi uyayibusisa etigabeni letifanele ekuthenini ayihambise iye ka-UN. But lesingakusho nje office la ka-DPM sijajuliswa nje ngilokuthi kubekeke kahle kule report. Uyabona nje ukuthi kusukela lo msebenzi wacala ngeligalelo lelikhulu uhambe wafika phi ma programs ebantu abakhubatekile. Kuyabona kuningi lokwendekile lokuhle ku mainstream tindzaba tebantu abakhubatekile emkhakheni yonke kuphila kangwane. Bese kuphize le report iphize yasinika lesibuko ukuthi wo naku ke la kunema gaps khona usita phela wonke umuntu nalofuna kusebenza sita uhulumende ambambisa uhulumende ngeke akwende konke yakwenda lokuningi utawubona ukuthi wo na igap ingala bese uyenda lengakusho nje nyalo ukuthi vele seyitawuhambe kubantu abadzala bayibusisa nabacedza kuyibusisa bayahambisa ke iya ka UN.
Lokuhle sawenda lo mthetho wethu kangwane sa domesticator saba nawo imithetho le lubukete emalungelo nokuphila kwabantu labakhubatekile eSwatini. Sinalo ke lethemba lokuthi le report yekucala itawukhona ukuthi sisite sibone lokho ukuthi sesihambe umgamo longakanani sisebenzile invele.
Zandile Mpapane tindzabeni channel Yemaswati tifombe kumxolisi Mavuso Ezulwini. I am Zandile for channel Yemaswati News, visuals by Mxolisi Mavuso Mbabane Ezulwini. All business community today express their heartfelt gratitude to the government under the Ministry of Finance and the Eswatini Revenue Authority as they were given a grace period to pay their debts. They mentioned this through their chairman, Mr. Johannes Manigela, during an interview with our reporters in Mbabane. We have a report.
The Ministry of Finance and the Revenue Authority has implemented a new system for business owners whereby people within the business community may negotiate their debt. Speaking on behalf of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, Board Chairperson Johannes Manigela thanked the government for a change in system.
Egameni business as a chairperson origin embele ngikhulumela onke ama business manje ifinance ibambisene ne-Revenue Authority noma ESWATINI Revenue Services. Imemetele kwekuthi bosomabhizinisi abete bato-negotiate kubhadala kancane ti-quality tabo leti libe banato khanze ukuthi abasakhona ukuthola abo-tax clearance. Siyakubonga lokho kakhulu siyibhizinisi, siyethemba lokuthi batawubuka nale ndzaba yema-penalty lesolo sikhala ngayo ngoba ukhanza ukuthi umuntu ulala athi sakakweleti kusathi khanza kweleta 2 million noma 5 million and nekubuka silo 12 months lebakhuluma ngaye umuntu lokweleta 1 million noma 500,000 ngeke amcetse kulo 12 months but lokho sekukhona lebakwendile. Siyakubonga siyibhizinisi emabhizinisi lamaningi liqiniso lithi vele avaliwe ngendzaba yalethi quality te-Revenue Authority.
Manigela deemed this a display of genuine care on the part of the government. The chairperson also touched on taxation issues faced by local business. He says that while tax evasion or the late payment thereof is a common occurrence within the business community, it is never done intentionally or sinisterly motivated.
Siya 24 months ngoba ngeke ukhona kubhadala 2 million in 12 months but lokho lokuncane lebakuxekisile siyibhizinisi siyakubonga kakhulu. Nekwathi kwami ngawukhulumela kakhulu eMaswati ngoba la business sesibaningi kukhona nentengosi ngala kulehlangothi kakhulu laba lebasebenza ngamathenda kukhona ukuthi kube khona lebakufihlako kuye kube ngemaphutha lendeke kulo accountant nakakwendela le paperwork ukhanya ukuthi ke vele sifunza size sife ngeke wabasola nabo maningi ama-changes lakawendile Revenue Authority kule ma-changes besolo akhona.
Reporting for Channel Yemaswati News, Abomile Mabuza, Uzandile Mpapane, and Kimberly Mavuso, Baban.
What are all the news we had for tonight? But before ending tonight's bulletin, let's take a recap of the stories which made headlines. His Majesty King Yemaswati III today at the Isikupe International Airport received the Embraer ERJ-145 aircraft. Mbabane and Manzini Town today signed a memorandum of understanding whereby the two towns pledged to work together to stop the spread of HIV and AIDS in the kingdom. Operations were started today in Mbabane City as public transport operators down their tools. Well, that's all the news we had for tonight. I do have yourselves a beautiful evening. Good night.
This weather forecast is proudly brought to you by FSRA.